The alarm never sounded because Jack Lauren didn't need one. HIS eyes opened at exactly 5h30 du matin Sam every morning for the past 15 years. The bedroom lay dark around him. Mira's breathing steady buzzed him in the king-size bed they picked out together 3 years ago. Jack slipped from under the cover without disturbing the sheets. HIS bare feet found the hardwood floor with practice silence. 15 minutes for a cold shower, 10 minutes to dress, 5 minutes for black coffee, no sugar, no cream. The cold water hit his shoulder like a slap, but Jack didn't flinch. Cold shower had started in basic training, continued through his years in military cyber intelligence, and never stopped. The shock kept his mind sharp. Today would require every edge he could get. In his home office, Jack settled behind the triple monitor setup that dominated the mahogany desk. The terminal hummed to life with a series of encrypted en chaque, 3 firewall, 2-factor authentication, biometric confirmation. The Department of Defense didn't take chance with their contractor, especially ones who worked on classified autonomous weapon system. The drone protocol patch had taken him 6 weeks to perfect. Cryptographic security for military drone wasn't just about keeping enemy out. It was about making sure the machine stayed under human control. One line of corrupted code could turn a defensive system into a nightmare that Jack Esfinger moved across the keyboard without hesitation. Each keystroke deliberate, each command tested twice. The patch uploaded through secure channel, confirmed, and logged. Another small piece in America's digital armor strengthened T647 AM and initiated the shutdown sequence. The screen went black. The drive encrypted themselves. The firewall locked down tight. Jack had learned early that gap killed people. In foster care, it was a gap between what adults promised and what they delivered. Foster parents who swore they wanted to help then disappeared when the monthly check stopped coming. Social workers who promised stability then moved him to another placement without warning. 18 years of broken promise had taught him that trust was a luxury he couldn't afford in the military. It was the gap between what you knew and what you assumed. Assumption got soldier killed. Jack had seen it happen in cyber intelligence operation commandée who assumed their communication were secure. Analysts who assumed enemy hacker couldn't break their encryption. The moment you stopped questioning everything was the moment someone found your weakness that in his marriage. It was the gap between what Mira said and what she meant. 7 years of learning to read the subtle. The way her voice changed when she was calculating something. How she tilted her head slightly left when she was about to lie. The practice smile she used when she wanted something. That pour 10 second cup of coffee and checked his phone. 3 missed calls from the lock. No message, no voicemail, juste the call notification from 5h23 du matin, 5h31 du matin, and 5h44 du matin. I never called this early unless something was wrong. In 15 years of friendship, Zayn respected Jack's morning routine. He knew about the cold shower, the precise schedule, the need for uninterrupted focus before the debugging. For Zayn to break that pattern meant emergency or opportunity. Jack dialed back. The phone rang before Zayn answered. Finally, Zayn's voice carried tension that hadn't been there yesterday. We need to meet today. About what? Not over the phone. Déniait on glintstone. An hour. The line went dead before Jack could respond. The backyard looked perfect. Mira had spent 2 days arranging everything for their 7th anniversary party. White string lights wrapped around the oak trees. Table covered in cream tablecloth. A catered barbecue spread that probably cost more than Jack made in a week. 30 guests filled the space. Co-workers from Mira's marketing firm clustered near the bar setup. Already 3 drink deep and getting loaded. Neighbor from her subdivision made polite conversation about property value and homeowner association drama. A few of Jack's all military contacts stood awkwardly by the buffet table, looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. Everyone holding drink, logging at joke that weren't funny, celebrating 7 years of marriage that had felt more like a business arrangement for the last 2, Buzz Anderson from next door cornered Jack near the deck railing. Bob Anderson worked in insurance sale and never missed an opportunity to pitch life insurance policy. HIS wife, Linda, collected gossip like some people collected stamp. Beautiful party, Linda Gust, her third martini, making her voice louded necessary. Mera has such wonderful taste. You're lucky to have her. Lucky, Jack repeated, nursing a beer and dente asked for social events drained him like nothing else. Too many variables to track. Too many people saying things they didn't mean, asking questions they didn't want answered. Bob leaned closer, smelling like gin and desperation. You know, Jack, at your age, you should really think about increasing your life insurance coverage. Especially with Mira's care taking off like it has. I'll think about it, Jack said. The same response est givant Bob for 3 years running. Don't think too long, Bob pressed. You never know what might happen. Accident, health problem, car échange. A man in your line of work face unique risk. The comment struck Jack oddly specific. Bob Henderson sold homeowner insurance, not life policy for military contractor. How would they know about unique risk in Jack's field? Jack. Zayn Locke voice cut through the chatty. There's the man of the hour. Zayn strode over with that confident walked perfected at the military academy. 39 years old, built like a steer ran 5 miles every morning. Expensive charcoal suede that probably cost more than most people made in a month. The kind of understated luxury that whispered money instead of shooting it. But something was different tonight. Zayn's smile looked forced. His usually perfect posture seemed stiff and his eyes kept darting towards the house like he was watching for something. Didn't expect to see you here, Jack said. Mera invited me personally. Said it was important that he attend. Zayn's smile didn't reach his eyes. We need to catch up soon. There are some business opportunities developing. New contract coming available. What kind of contract? Defense work. Cyber security. The kind of thing you'd be perfect for. Zayn glanced around the party, then lowered his voice. Company are paying top dollar for people with your specific skill set. We should discuss it this week. Before Jack could respond, Mira's voice rang out over the crowd. Before Jack could respond, Mira's voice rang out over the crowd. Everyone, can you have your attention? The conversation died. Trent fast turned towards the deck where Mera stood holding a champagne flute. She wore the blue dress Jack had bought her for Christmas, the one that made her eyes sparkle. Her dark hair caught the string lights perfectly. 7 years ago, he married the man he thought was my soulmate. Mera began. Her voice carried that practice confidence she used in client presentation. He thought he knew him completely. Jack felt the first cold touch of warning in his gut. But sometimes the people closest to us are the best at hiding who they really are. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't the anniversary toast they expected. Mera reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. 3 weeks ago, he found this. She held up the screen. Even from 15 feet away, Jack could see the text message chain, his name at the top, flirty message to someone named Jessica. Dîner plan, hotel receipt. The backyard went silent, except for the hum of the neighbor's air conditioning unit. My husband has been cheating on me for months, Mera announced. Her voice cracked perfectly on the last word. With my coworker, Jessica, who was supposed to be my friend, Jack stared at the phone screen. The message looked real. His contact photo, his phone number, conversation they never had with a woman they never met. Mera, we should talk about this, he started. I'm done talking. Mira's voice rose to just the right pitch. Hurt, but not hysterical. Strong but vulnerable. I'm done pretending everything is fine while you sneak around behind my back. Carly Dunn stepped forward from the crowd. Mira's childhood friend looked like she'd been crying. Her makeup was smudged, her hand shaking as she held her own drink. He tried to tell her, Carly said to the crowd. He saw them together at Romano's last month. Jack and this Jessica woman. They looked intimate. More lies. Jack had never been to Romano with anyone except Mera. Zayn moved buzzed Carly, his face grave. He suspected something was off. Jack has been distant lately. Secretive. He thought maybe work dress, but the crowd murmure. 30 people who barely knew Jack, ready to believe the worst. The neighbor from 3 houses down shook his head in disgust. Mira's boss from a marketing firm put a protective arm around her shoulder. Jack took a slow sip of his beer. The bitter taste grounded him while his mind processed the setup unfolding around him. The message on Mira's phone looked perfect. Too perfect. The timing was surgical. The witnesses were coordinated. We LL talk in court, Jack said. His voice cut through the murmurs like a blade. No enjeu, no pleading, no desperate explanation, just 5 words delivered with the same tone and used to order lunch. That Mira's perfect victim expression flickered for half a second. In that moment, Jack saw something else underneath. Calculation, satisfaction. The crowd stared at him. They expected denial, tears, rage. Instead, they got a man who looked like he was reading the weather forecast. That is it. Mira's voice pitched high. That is all you have to say. Jack set his beer on the deck railing and walked towards the house. Behind him, the party erupted in whisper and shocked conversation. He heard Carly's voice rise above the rest. He has not even done it. Did you see how cold he was? The sliding door closed behind him with a soft click. A Jack's garage workshop occupied half the 2-car space. Workbench lined 3 walls covered with electronic components, soldering equipment, and diagnostic tools left over from his military days. The other half felt Mira's BMW, which hadn't moved since yesterday. He activated his home security system from the main terminal in the corner. The monitor flickered to life, showing feeds from 8 camera positions around the property. Motion sensor, door log, window alert, everything that had happened in this house for the past 6 months, recorded and encrypted. The access log loaded on the center screen. Jack's thumb drive contains the decryption keys for everything his insurance policy against the kind of setup he just witnessed. Every digital footprint in his house for the past 6 months, recorded and encrypted with military-grade security protocol that he scrolled through weeks of data looking for anomaly. His own pattern were predictable terminal activation at 5h30 du matin work session ending by 7h du soir security system armed at 10h du soir every night. Mira's pattern were different, but consist late night online shopping, morning social media session, afternoon calls to her office. Then he found a point 3 weeks ago. 2h47 du matin terminal activation in the home office. Jack scrolled through the video feed from that night. The infrared camera showed him passed out in bed after working 18 hours straight on the drone protocol. Deep sleep, the kind that came from mental exhaustion and too much caffeine. And there was Mira creeping in his office at 2h47 du matin with something small in her hand, a device he didn't recognize. She positioned his sleeping finger against the biometric scanner. The terminal unlocked with a soft shim. For 17 minutes and 34 seconds, she copied file, accessed his communication, and downloaded encrypted military software that she had no legal right to see, no clearance to access, and no legitimate reason to possess. Federal Crime Number 1, unauthorized access to classified information, 10 years minimum in federal prison. But she wasn't done. Jack watched the video a Mira inserted a USB device into his terminal and ran what looked like a cloning program. She was copying not just his file, but his entire digital identity. Email account, messaging apps, authentication token, everything needed to impersonate him online. Federal Crime Number 2, identity theft in service of espionage. Another 10 years, Jack pulled up the audio log from their smart home system. Most people didn't realize that voice-activated devices recorded conversation even in standby mode. The manufacturer claimed it was for improved user experience and faster response times. In reality, it was a surveillance system that most users installed voluntarily. The audio file from 2 weeks ago made his blood turn to ice water. Voices in his kitchen at 11h30 du soir speaking in Houston while Jack worked late in his office Mira's voice. The timing has to be perfect. If we trigger the mental fitness clause in his DOD contract, DLL revoke his clearance and freeze his pension contribution. Zaines voice. The tech is working on his worth million to the right buyer. Drone Security Protocol, Autonomous Weapon Interface, Battlefield Communication Encryption. Our client would pay 8 figure for access. Carly S. Voice. He can testify about his behavior. Make it look like he has been deteriorating for months. Paranoia episode, violent outburst, threats against co-workers, Mira S. Voice, The Affair. Story will be the final trigger, public humiliation, emotional breakdown, complete loss of credibility. No one recover from being exposed like that in front of their entire social circle. ELL have a complete mental collapse. Zaines voice, and when it does, we ELL have everything we need. HIS reputation destroyed, his clearance revoked, his access to new project terminated. Perfect cover for the technology transfer. Jack saved the audio file to 3 separate encrypted drive. 3 copy of evidence that would destroy all of them. The DOD contract included a mental fitness clause that could void his security clearance if he showed sign of psychological instability, paranoia, unpredictable behavior, threats of violence. Without his clearance, Jack would lose his consulting contract, his pension contribution, and his access to the work he spent 15 years building. But Mira's real target wasn't his money. It was his code. Jack pulled up the software manifest from his DOD work. Drone Security Protocol worked we figure to the right buyer. Cryptographic keys that could unlock autonomous weapon system. Technology that foreign government would kill for and Mira had copied all of it 3 weeks ago while he slept. The garage door rumbled open. Mira's BMW pulled into the driveway with aggressive precision. The engine shut off. IL clicked across concrete. Jack minimized the security feeds and opened a harmless-looking diagnostic program. When Mira walked into the garage, he was running cable diagnostic on a route. We need to talk, she said. Her makeup was still perfect despite the emotional breakdown she performed 20 minutes ago. The blue dress without a wrinkle. Her eyes were DRY. About what? Jack didn't look up from his screen. About what happened next? My lawyer will contact you tomorrow. Good to know. Mira stepped closer to the workbench. You're not going to fight this, are you? It'll be easier for both of us if you just accept what is happening. Jack Esfinger paused on the keyboard. Accept what exactly? That our marriage is over. That you need help. That the best thing for everyone is a clean break. She was reading from a script. Every word calculated to sound reasonable while reading the threat underneath. I'll need time to think about it, Jack said. Don't think too long. My attorney specializes in cases involving military contractor with security clearance. He knows how to handle complicated situations. The threat was clear now. Cooperate or lose everything. Jack saved his work and shut down the terminal. When he turned around, Mira was already walking back to the house. Her phone was pressed to her ear. It's done, she said into the phone. He is not going to fight it. Wrong again, Jack thought. But she wouldn't know that until it was too late. The garage fell key except for the hum of cooling electronics. Jack opened his secure email and typed a message to the one person he trusted more than anyone. Harlem need to meet. Urgent bringing evidence. The reply came back within 2 minutes. My office an hour. Bring everything. Jack gathered the encrypted drive and headed for his truck. The next phase required Ali and Darland Boone was the best ally a man could have. When the game turned deadly, the Green County family core building squatted on Boonville Avenue like a concrete monument to human failure. Jack sat in the waiting area outside courtroom 3, watching Mira and her attorney whisper strategy at a table 20 ft away. Richard Steinberg looked exactly like central casting would order for a divorce lawyer. Silver hair, expansive suit, the kind of practice sympathy that came with 30 years of separating people from their assets. They probably charged Mira $500 just to walk through the door. Monsieur Lorraine, a court clerk appeared busy Jack Escher. Judge Morrison will see all party now. Judge Theodore Morrison had been handling family case in Springfield for 15 years. He looked tired today, like a man who had seen too many marriages die ugly death. H.I.S. Gavel rested buzzed a stack of feel thick enough to shock a horse. This is a pre-trial motion hearing in the matter of Lauren versus Lauren. Judge Morrison announced, Monsieur Steinberg, you requested this hearing. Proceed. Steinberg stood with theatrical gravity. Your Honor, my client, Mera Lauren, is seeking immediate protection from her husband, who has exhibited increasingly erratic and dangerous behavior over the past several months. Jack watched mirror da batter eyes with a tissue. The performance was flawless. Monsieur Lauren has been secretive, paranoid, and emotionally abusive, Steinberg continued. My client has reason to believe his work in military contracting has affected his psychological state. We are requesting an immediate psychological evaluation and a freeze on all marital assets to prevent him from hiding money or making irrational financial decisions. Judge Morrison looked at Jack. Do you have representation, Monsieur Lauren? Not yet, Your Honor. I'm representing myself for now. That is generally not advisable in case involving significant assets and psychological evaluation. I understand, Your Honor. Steinberg pulled out a manila folder. We have evidence of Monsieur Lauren's deteriorating mental state, text message showing his infidelity, witness statement about his increasingly unstable behavior, and financial record showing suspicious transactions that suggest he is already attempting to hide assets. The financial record were another fabrication. Jack kept meticulous books, every dollar accounted for, every transaction documented, but he didn't interrupt. My client is afraid, Your Honor, Steinberg said. She's living with a man who has access to classified military technology and appears to be suffering from what we believe is work-related PTSD. She needs protection. Mera took the witness stand with perfect timing. The blue dress was gone, replaced by conservative grey that made her look vulnerable. Her voice shook as she spoke. I've tried to help him, she said. But Jack has become paranoid and controlling. I check my phone. A question where he go. Last week, he accused me of stealing file from his computer. True, because she had stolen file from his computer. He has been drinking more, staying up all night working on project he wanted discuss. When he found a message to Jessica, he didn't deny it. He just looked at me like Mira's voice broke like he was calculating something. Judge Morrison frowned. Monsieur Lauren, do you want to respond to these allegations? Jack stood slowly. Your Honor, he wanted contest the psychological evaluation. Silence filled the courtroom. Steinberg's pen stopped moving. Mira's perfect victim expression flickered. You wanted contest it? Judge Morrison asked. No, Your Honor. ILL submit to any evaluation the court require. ILL also agreed to a temporary freeze on her joint account. Steinberg. Recover quickly. Your Honor, we also request full disclosure of Monsieur Lauren's work file and communication to ensure he hasn't been sharing classified information inappropriately. This was the trap. They wanted access to his military contract to prove he was mentally unfit, but they just asked for something that would destroy them instead. Monsieur Lauren. Judge Morrison waited for his response. Jack smiled for the first time since entering the courtroom. Your Honor, under Missouri Discovery Law, he request reciprocal disclosure. If Mrs. Lauren wants access to my communication and file, he wants the same access to her. All digital communication, financial record, and device metadata for the past 6 months. Steinberg's face went pale. Your Honor, that is unnecessary. It's reciprocal discovery, Jack said. Standard procedure when one party requests digital disclosure. Judge Morrison nodded. Agreed. Both parties will provide complete digital disclosure within 30 days. Monsieur Lauren, you'll undergo psychological evaluation within 2 weeks. Mrs. mourns the asset freeze is temporary pinning the outcome of this case. The gavel came down with a sharp crack outside the courthouse. Mera caught up with Jack on the front step. What are you playing at? She said. Following court order, Jack said just like you wanted. You think you're clever, but you have no idea who you're dealing with. Jack stopped walking and turned to face her. For 7 years, Ed seen Mera his wife. Now I saw her clearly for the first time. The calculation behind her eyes. The practice way she tilted her head when she lied. The complete absence of any real emotion. You're right, he said. He had no idea who he was dealing with, but he do now. He walked away, leaving her standing on the courthouse step with her mouth open. Ivy Lames' office occupied the 3rd floor of a converted warehouse downtown. No sign on the door, no company name on the directory, just Digital Solutions Suite 307 in small black letters. Jack had found Ivy through Arlan's network. Former Air Force signal officer turned freelance digital forensic analyst. She specialized in cases involving military contractor, government employee, and anyone else who needed problem solved quietly. Your wife is either very stupid or very confident, Ivy said, scrolling through the preliminary analysis on her workstation. Jack sat across from her desk, watching code flow across multiple monitors. Ivy was smaller than they expected, maybe 5 minutes 4 seconds, with short red hair and the kind of intense focus that came from staring at data stream for 12 hours straight. She cloned your phone using a SIM swap attack, Ivy continued. Probably paid Someone $5 to walk into a sales store with fake ID and convince them to transfer your number to a new device. Once she had access to your text message, she could send whatever she wanted and make it look like it came from your phone. How do we prove that? Cell tower log. Your real phone pinged towers near your house at the same time the fake message were sent from across town. No one can be in 2 places at once. Ivy pulled up another screen showing financial record, but the phone cloning is just the beginning. Your wife transferred $180,002 en LLC registered in Delaware under the name Devon Lake. Jack recognized the name immediately. Devon is Mira's cousin, works at Zaines Company, Blackwater Defense Solutions. They specialize in selling military technology to foreign government. Perfectly legal, but they need access to current tech to stay competitive. The picture was coming together. Mirror still Jack's classified research. Zaines Company packaged it for sale to overseas clients. Everyone is rich except the American taxpayer who funded the original development. There's more, Ivy said. She opened an encrypted folder. He found trace of military-grade decryption software on your wife's laptop. Software that she has no legal right to possess. That is a federal crime. 10 years minimum if they can prove and to distribute. Which bring us to the interesting part. Ivy swiveled her chair to face Jack directly. Someone has been watching you for months. Professional surveillance. Your email account has been accessed from IP address in 3 different countries. Your home network has been probed by people who know exactly what they're looking for foreign intelligence or contractor working for them. Either way, your wife opened a door that she can't close. Jack's phone buzzed with a text from Arland. Meet me at Ozark Brewing. Back booth. An hour. Arland Boone's office occupied the top floor of a nondescript building on Campbell Avenue. No directory listing, no company sign, just suite 1.2 cents in small brass number and a receptionist who looked like she'd been personally selected for her ability to forget fast. Jack had known Arland for 12 years, ever since their paths crossed on a classified project involving battlefield communication protocol. Arland had been a senior advisor, Jack the junior contractor. The old man had taken Jack under his wing, teaching him not just about technology, but about the dangerous intersection of military secret and civilian greed. IVS preliminary report makes for interesting reading, Arland said, sliding a manila folder across his mahogany desk. Your wife is either incredibly stupid or dangerously confident. Jack opened the folder and scanned the technical analysis. Page of network log, financial transaction, and digital forensic that painted a picture of professional level espionage. She cloned your phone using a SIM swap attack, Arland continued. Not something your average angry spouse knows how to do. Someone talked her or someone did it for her. Zain has the technical knowledge. Zain HAS connection with people who have technical knowledge. Big difference. Arlon leaned back in his chair. This operation required planning, resource, and expertise. Your wife didn't wake up one morning and decide to steal military secret. This has been in development for months. Jack turned the page to find bank record showing the money transfer to Devonlac LLC. $180,000 down payment. The real money comes when they deliver your research to Terbuyer. Arlandes expression darkened. Blackwater Defense Solutions has been aggressively pursuing contract with overseas clients, China, Russia, North Korea, anyone with cash and questionable ethic. How do you know about Blackwater's client list? Because I've been watching them for 2 years. They're a legitimate defense contractor on paper, but they operate in grey area that make me nervous. Selling American military technology to foreign government isn't illegal if it's properly licensed, but they've been cutting corner on the licensing process. Arland opened his laptop and pulled up a classified database that Jack wasn't supposed to know existed. 3 months ago, Chinese. Intelligence officer met with Blackwater representative in Vancouver. No official record of the meeting, but our source confirmed they discussed purchasing advanced drone control system. My drone protocol, your protocol, plus similar technology from other contractor. They're assembling a complete package control system, encryption methods, countermeasure protocol. Everything needed to neutralize American drone advantage in a potential conflict. The implication is Jack like a physical blow. HIS work wasn't just intellectual property being stolen for profit. It was military intelligence that could get American soldiers killed. What is your recommendation? Jack asked, scorched earth, you go to the office of Inspector General tomorrow morning. File a whistleblower complaint under the Protection Act. Don't mention Mera directly in the initial filing. Let the investigator discover her involvement through their own investigation. Focus on Zain and the suspicious technology transfer. Why not mention Mera? Because if you lead with my wife is stealing my secret, it sounds like a domestic dispute. If you lead with Someone is selling classified technology to foreign adversary, it become a national security investigation. Much different level of response. Arland closed the laptop and fixed Jack with a star that carried 40 years of defense intelligence experience. The federal government doesn't mess around with technology theft. They have unlimited resource, unlimited patience, and unlimited authority. Once they open an investigation, they find everything. And Mera, Mrs. Lauren HAS made some very poor choices. The consequences for those choices are about to become apparent. Jack's garage have become mission control. 3 monitor displayed different data stream. Encrypted drive organized by priority. Communication log printed and cross-referenced. Everything Ivy had found, everything Arland had confirmed, everything that would burn Mira's world to the ground. The Office of Inspector General had opened an investigation within 3 hours of Jack's whistleblower filing. Not because they trusted Jack, but because they took technology theft seriously, especially when that technology could kill American soldiers. Jack printed the final summary report and sealed it in a manila envelope. Zanlock's name appeared 47 times. Devonlac appeared 12 times. Blackwater Defense Solutions appeared 31 times. Mirror Lauren appeared 0 times. The investigator would find her eventually. They trace the money transfer, decode the communication log, and discover that the helpful wife who provided insider access was actually the center of the entire operation. But by then, Jack would be clear of the blast radius. HIS phone rang. Mira's number. We need to talk, she said without preamble. About what? About ending this cleanly. He spoke with my attorney. We can settle everything out of court if you're reasonable. Reasonable? The same word she used a dozen times over the past week. Code for give us what we want and we won't destroy you completely. What kind of settlement? You keep your pension and clearance. He gets the house and half the savings. We both walk away and never speak again. A generaux fait for Someone who held all the cars. 2 generaux. ILL think about it, Jack said. Don't think too long. Richard says the judge is sympathetic to my situation. Military contractor with PTSD don't fare well in family court. The line went dead. Jack walked to his computer and opened a family court filing system. One motion to file, one request to expedite, one signature that would end 7 years of marriage and start something much more interesting. Motion to proceed directly to final judgment and asset division. Et typed, if Mera wanted to end it, they'd end it on his term. The motion filed electronically at 11h47 du soir by morning, it would be on Judge Morrison's desk with a hearing that within the week. Jack encrypted the last of his evidence file and copied them to a secure military grade drive. Tomorrow, he delivered them personally to the federal investigator. By the end of the week, they'd have everything they needed to destroy the Ines operation and send everyone involved to federal prison. Mera thought she was playing chess, but Jack had been playing a different game entirely. He turned off the monitor and locked the garage behind him. Phase 2 was about to begin. The media van from Colorado News sat in the courthouse parking lot like a metallic vulture. Mera had invited them, expecting to watch Jack's public humiliation broadcast across Springfield. Instead, she driven them front row seats to her own destruction. Judge Morrison's courtroom buzzed with anticipation. Reporter filled the gallery. Mera's supporters clustered behind the plaintiff's table. Jack sat alone at the defendant's table, a single manila folder in front of him. Mera wore her best victim outfit conservative navy dress. Minimal makeup, trembling and that shook just enough to suggest emotional trauma without appearing unstable. Steinberg had coached her well. In a matter of Lauren versus Lauren, Judge Morrison announced, "We are for final judgment and asset division. Monsieur Steinberg, present your case." Steinberg stood with the confidence of a man who believed they already won. Your Honor, my client seeks dissolution of marriage based on her husband's infidelity, emotional abuse, and mental instability. She requested $1.2 million in asset distribution, the marital home, half of Monsieur Lauren's retirement account and full rights to any current or future patent. The gallery murmure. It was a massive financial request, but Steinberg made it sound reasonable. Mrs. Lauren H.S. endure mount of psychological abuse from a man whose work in classified military project H.S. clearly affected his mental state. She deserved compensation for her suffering and security for her future. Mera took the witness stand with perfect timing. Her voice carried to every corner of the courtroom. Our marriage became a nightmare, she began. Jack grew paranoid, controlling, abusive. He monitored my phone calls, questioned my friendship, accused me of stealing from him. When he discovered his affair, he realized the man he married no longer existed. She was good. Every word calculated for maximum impact. Every pause time to let the emotion sink in. The reporter scribbled not furiously. I'm not asking for revenge, Mera continued. I just want to rebuild my life without fear. Without wondering if the man sleeping next to me might snap and hurt me. Carly Dunn testified next, describing Jack's increasingly erratic behavior. Zayn Locke followed, expressing concern for his friend's mental health. Both performances were flawless. Your Honor, Steinberg concluded. Mrs. Lauren H.S. proving her case. Her husband is clearly unfit for marriage and she deserves significant compensation for the trauma she's endured. Judge Morrison looked at Jack. Monsieur Lauren, do you wish to present a defense? Jack stood slowly and picked up the manila folder. Your Honor, I have one document to submit to the court. He walked to the judge's bench and handed over the folder. Judge Morrison opened it and read the single page on top. H.I.S. expression changed immediately. The tired resignation was replaced by sharp attention. H.I.S. eyes widened I read. All parties remain seated. Judge Morrison announced. Bailiff closed the doors. The bailiff moved to the back of the courtroom and locked both entrances. The reporter looked confused. Mera's perfect confidence flickered. Judge Morrison read the document again, then looked at Jack. Is this authentic? Yes, Your Honor. The judge held up the paper so everyone could see the official letterhead. This is a signed affidavit from the United States Attorney's Office confirming that the defendant, Mirror Lorne, is currently under federal investigation for digital theft, conspiracy, and military code exposure under Title 18, Section 793 of the US Code. The courtroom erupted. Reporter shooted question. Mira's face went white. Steinberg grabbed for the document, but Judge Morrison pulled it back. Furthermore, the judge continued, this investigation involves national security matters related to the theft and intended distribution of classified military technology. A man in a dark suit entered through a side door. FBI Special Agent Thomas Crawford had been waiting in the judge's chambers for this moment. He nodded to Judge Morrison and walked towards the plaintiff's table. Mirror, Agent Crawford announced, you're under arrest for violation of the Espionage Act, conspiracy to commit theft of classified document and wire fraud. The courtroom exploded into chaos. Mirror stood frozen, a handcuff clicked around her wrist. Steinberg protested loudly about improper procedure. The reporter fought to get closer to the action. Zain Locke Agent Crawford continued, spotting Jack S. Formé franc in the gallery. You're also under arrest. Zain tried to run for the back door, but federal agents were already waiting. Two more set of handcuffs appeared. Carly Dunn. You're under arrest for providing false testimony in a federal investigation. Carly collapsed in her chair, sobbing hysterically. The careful conspiracy that had taken month to plan fell apart in under 5 minutes. Agent Crawford read the Miranda rights to all 3 suspects. While the courtroom watched in stunned silence, the media had expected a divorce proceeding. Instead, they witnessed the arrest of a federal espionage ring. Judge Morrison benched this gavel repeatedly. This court is adjourned pending federal investigation. All divorce proceedings are suspended indefinitely. As the agent led me away, she looked back at Jack with pure hatred in her eyes. No more victim performance. No more fake tears. Just the cold calculation and they finally learned to recognize. Every LHS a cost, Jack said quietly as she passed his table. You was underpriced. He just adjusted it. The doors opened and the suspects were led away. In less than an hour, they'd be in federal custody, facing charge that carried decades in prison. Jack gathered his papers and walked out of the courthouse alone. The Federal Detention Center in Kansas City looked like every other concrete box designed to hold people who they made Porsches. Grey walls, barred windows, and the institutional smell of disinfectant that never quite covered the underlying odor of desperation and regret. Jack signed a visitor log and submitted to the security screening without complaint. Metal detector, bag search, biometric confirmation. 3 months since the arrest and this was his first visit. The processing took 47 minutes. Jack sat in the waiting area watching other visitors, mostly women with tired faces and children who didn't understand why daddy couldn't come home. A few lawyers and expensive suits making their weekly rounds to clients who could still afford representation. An elderly man who looked like he'd been making this visit for years. Jack Loren, a guard called from the security door. Visitor for Loren Mera. The visiting room was exactly what Jack had expected. Institutional furniture bolted to the floor. Camera in every corner. Guard station at strategic point. 20 small tables with phones separated by reinforced glass that had probably witnessed 2 ans of tearful conversation between Matt and the people they'd left behind. Mera sat across from him, separated by that reinforced glass. She'd lost 20 pounds since the arrest. Her iron limp and unwashed, no longer the carefully styled perfection she'd maintained for 7 years. The orange jumpsuit made her skin look sallow under the harsh fluorescent lights, but her eyes were the same, calculating, always working in angle. Even here, she picked up the phone on her side of the glass. Jack lifted his. He didn't think you'd come, she said. Her voice carried none of the practice confidence and remember. He almost didn't. The trial start next month. My attorney says the evidence against me is overwhelming. She looked bitterly. I want 3 cents,000 for my defense. Money I don't have anymore thanks to the asset forfeit. Jack said nothing. The federal government had seized everything she owned. Bank account, investment portfolio, even her jewelry. Standard procedure in espionage case. Zaines cooperating with the prosecutor. Mera continued. Est testifying against me to reduce his own sentence. 20 years down to 15 if et tell them everything. Devons est doing the same thing. They're all trying to make me the mastermind to save their own skins. Are you the mastermind? Mira's log was sharp and hollow. He was the inside source. Zain planned everything else, but I'm the one who had access to your file, so I'm the one facing the worst charge. She pressed her palm against the glass between them. I know you hate me. You have every right to hate me. But we were married for 7 years. That has to count for something. Jack studied her face through the reinforced glass. Even now, even here, she was trying to manipulate him. The victim routine was different than before. Less polished, more desperate, but still calculated. The appeal to share the story, the suggestion that their marriage had meant something real to her. The prosecutor offered me a deal, she said when Jack didn't respond. This years if he plead guilty and cooperate with their ongoing investigation. 25 to life if he go to trial and lose. What kind of cooperation? Names, financial record, details about other technology theft that Blackwater might be involved in. Mira's voice dropped to a whisper. There are other contractor, Jack. Other marriage like yours, other women who marry military contractor and gained access to classified information. This was new information. Jack leaned forward slightly. How many other? At least see that he know about, maybe more. Blackwater has been running this operation for 3 years. They recruit women, train them, help them target specific contractor with access to valuable technology. He thought he was special, but he was just another asset. The revelation shouldn't have surprised Jack, but it did. The scope of the conspiracy was larger than anyone had realized. Why are you telling me this? Because he wanted to know that what we had was real, at least at first. He didn't marry you a part of some operation. That came late after Blackwater approached me. Tears ran down Mira's cheek. He loved you, Jack. Whatever else he did, that was real. Jack felt nothing looking at her tears. No sympathy, no anger, no residual affection, just the cold assessment of a security analyst evaluating a threat that had been neutralized. Every LHS accost said into the phone. You was underpriced. He just adjusted it. He hung up the phone and walked away, leaving her sitting alone in the orange jumpsuit she wore for the next decade. The cabin sat on 40 acres in the Missouri Ozark, surrounded by oak trees and absolute silence. Jack had bought the property with the settlement money from Mira's forfeited assets. Ironic justice, that her crime had funded his escape from the life she tried to destroy. The federal government had seized everything she owned, then returned half to Jack as a victim of her conspiracy. The main house was modest but efficient. 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom, a kitchen designed for function rather than entertaining. No wasted space, no unnecessary complication. The kind of place where a man could think clearly without distraction. Lauren system occupied the converted barn behind the main house. Jack had spent 6 months transforming the agricultural building into a state-of-the-art technology center. Server rack lined one wall, humming with the key efficiency of military-grade equipment. Workstation for 3 employees, all former military, all personally vetted by Harlan Boone. They specialized in military software integrity and insider threat protection. Ironically, developing countermeasures against the exact type of security breach that Mera had exploited. The company's first contract had come from the Department of Defense itself. A request for consultation on protecting classified system from insider threats. The irony wasn't lost on Jack a personal victimization had become his professional expertise. Harlan served as Chief Technology Officer, bringing 40 years of defense intelligence experience in a network of contact that reached into every corner of the military industrial complex. Evil Amran Digital Forensic a lead analyst, applying a Air Force signal intelligence background to corporate security problem. Ter West Hire was Marcus Webb, a formé Navy cryptologist ou specialist in penetration testing and vulnerability assessment. The work was more satisfying than anything Jack had done before. Instead of just building security system, they were actively hunting the kind of predator who had targeted him. Corporate espionage, foreign intelligence operation, insider threats, all the danger that most company never saw coming until it was too late. Jack stood on the cabin's front porch, watching the sunset over the valley below. HIS phone buzzed with notification, 3 new contract inquiry, 2 from Fortune 500 company that had heard about their success rate. Lawrence system was growing faster than they anticipated. Built on a reputation for exposing exactly the kind of betrayal that had nearly destroyed him. The latest case involved a defense contractor in Virginia whose employee kept leaving to join a competitor, taking classified research with him. Standard industrial espionnage, but with national security implication. The kind of work that made Jack feel like he was protecting other people from what they experienced out of dog bark from inside the cabin. Recon, a German Shepherd mix had adopted from the local shelter 6 months ago. The dog had been abused by previous owners, betrayed by people who were supposed to protect him. Trust didn't come easily to either of them. They understood each other perfectly. Jack called Recon outside and threw a tennis ball across the yard. The dog bounded after it with pure joy. Uncomplicated by memory of betrayal or thoughts of revenge. Animal had that advantage over human. They could forgive and move forward without carrying the weight of past hurt. Jack wasn't sure he wanted that kind of forgiveness. The danger had been useful. It had motivated him through the investigation, sustained him through the legal proceeding, and ultimately driven him to build something better from the wreckage of his marriage. HIS phone rang. Harlan S. number. We got the Virginia contract. Harlan announced they want us to start next week. Full audit of their personnel, financial record, and digital security. Any special concern? Their CEO thinks they have a mole in senior management. Someone with access to board meeting and strategic planning session. Could be another Blackwater operation. Jack felt the familiar surge of hunting instinct. ILL revient au terre employé feel tonight. No rush. You've been pushing yourself too hard lately. Take the evening off. I'm fine. You're always fine. That's what worry me. Harlan's voice carried the concern of a mentor who had seen too many good people burn themselves out. Success doesn't mean working yourself to death. After hanging up, Jack walked to the fire pit beside the cabin. On the small table next to his chair sat a framed photograph, his wedding photo with Mera from 7 years ago. They looked happy in the picture, young and naive, and completely unprepared for what was coming. 4 months after the trial, Jack had kept the photo a reminder, a warning against future trust, future vulnerability. But lately, it felt more like carrying poison than carrying wisdom. Jack picked up the photograph and walked to the fire pit. He struck a match and held it to the corner of the frame. The photograph curled and blackened. 7 years of lies transforming into smoke and ash. The flame consumed their wedding day, their anniversary party, their share vacation and key dinner. Everything that had seemed real but wasn't. Everything that had been performance rather than partnership. Jack watched the last of the photograph turn to ash, then scattered the remainder into the wind. Tomorrow would bring new challenge, new contract, new opportunities to protect other people from the kind of betrayal they survived. Tonight he had 40 across silence and a dog who understood that loyalty was earned, not assumed that it was enough.